We've all had that blonde sit down in our chair and you're not quite sure how much depth to put in when they show you that gorgeous chai blonde look. I'm gonna show you guys a fast and efficient way to drop a lot of natural depth back into your client's hair in a fast, efficient way, but with gorgeous formulation that will give you these multi-dimensional, stunning results that will be easy to do behind the chair. So enough talking, let's get started. Chai blonde, quiet luxury blonde are some of the most trending blondes, and they're all extremely similar. On my gorgeous model today, we are going to be redistributing a ton of depth. So if you look here on her side right now, it's been, she said, about 6 months since she had her color touched up. So we're seeing her line of demarcation and it is pretty strong. And there's pretty much no natural existing through her ends. What makes that chai blonde, quiet luxury blonde, old money blonde feel so luxurious is the fact that there is dimension running all the way through it, but it's in such a soft, natural way. So I'm gonna show you guys a very quick and easy way to redistribute all of that depth without losing your brightness. So I'm starting in the nape, taking a diagonal back, and I'm gonna be working in pretty large sections because I'm wanting to cover a lot of ground. I feel like sometimes when we go in with lowlights, we do so many itty bitty little baby lowlights. So we end up losing our brightness because everything gets muddy, but we also lose the pop of our depth. So I'm gonna go in a diagonal back, and I'm gonna be doing kind of a slice with a weave under the surface so I can get really big surface area. So on the top, it's looking more like a slice. Underneath, it's more of a deep weave. This is how I'm gonna distribute a lot of depth in a really soft and natural way. My formula for today is 15 grams of 8N, 15 grams of 8GB, that golden beige, and then I also have 10 grams of the 8ROM. The 8ROM gives us like that kiss of pink in the undertone of our natural level 8 and our 8GB, which really does give us that really beautiful kind of suede chai tea latte vibe. You don't end up with a pink end result, but that undertone of pink makes this so beautiful. One thing that I love to do is I like to start my product where her line of demarcation is, and I'll just kind of feather that up into the natural. I really love her natural color, so I don't need to bring this all the way up. And for her first low light, I'm gonna bring it all the way down through her ends. Because she's so solid at the bottom, I wanna make sure that I drop some dimension all the way down, but not every low light is going to have it pulled all the way down. Whenever I'm doing any type of highlighting, low lighting, I typically don't like to fold my foils because I don't like to create crease marks within my color. So I'm just going to kind of sandwich that, fold the bottom. Now my next diagonal back is gonna go just above that. I'm doing like about an inch subsection. I wanna make sure that I have enough space to leave some of this existing blonde. And I don't want to low light so heavy that we end up all solid dark, or we low light too little and not have enough impact. So now in this section, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing. I'm going under the surface. So instead of taking a slice under the surface, I'm sitting under the surface and I'm going to weave, creating a sliced effect on top with a weaved effect underneath. So now here in this section, taking my low light formula, feathering that up into the natural above her line of demarcation, but I'm not going all the way up to the root because I don't want to shift her root color, or I don't want to deposit any low light into her root color because her natural color is already the goal. And now I'm just going to feather down towards the ends, leaving some of this blonde. So we'll have a variation of depth as it comes down. So we don't have everything. One thing that I don't love when I see feathered lowlights is I don't love when I see every single lowlight stops at the same place, because then you end up with this kind of like sharp halo around the hair. So we're gonna have some pulled through, we'll have some here, and we'll have some that are just sitting in that mid shaft area. After this second lowlight, we are gonna go in and do a little bit of a dimensional highlight as well, because I don't want this area to get too dark. I'm gonna go through and just do a little bit of a dimensional blonde. So this I will just take like a little baby light, just for some internal brightness, giving that a very soft tease. And for this, I'm using Beyond Vaughn Lightener with 10 volume, mixed 1 to 2. I love it because it's got that security blanket already mixed inside the lightener, but it will still give me maximum lift. Isolating out the piece that is already pretty bright, so I can isolate out this piece that's just slightly darker. Gorgeous. And we'll repeat this exact scene on the other side. I will show you that my first low light is going to be after this highlight. This would be pulled all the way through to the ends, and then this will be pulled only through this mid shaft. Now for the last low light in this section, I don't want to drop this too far down again because we were talking about having varied lengths of your lowlights. So for this, I'm going to start right around my line of demarcation, feather that up slightly into the natural, and I'm just going to feather that down softly. And so now this is just living through this mid shaft area. So the first one I dragged much lower, that I did more of like the diffused low light on. 2 of my low lights have been pulled all the way through, 1 diffused. This one is just through that mid shaft. And then we'll repeat the exact same thing on the other side, and then we'll check back in for the front. Okay, so now that I'm along her hairline, she has a really beautiful natural color where she has natural highlights around her face. So I don't need to work too hard over here on her hairline over highlighting. I just kind of want to enhance and replicate what nature is already doing for her. So all I'm going to do is take a slight diagonal back. I don't want my highlight to be directly on her hairline because I want to keep this really soft so when she pulls her hair back, it's already going to be naturally diffused. And because it's been 6 months since she last had her hair colored, I don't want to do something that's going to create this like crazy high maintenance for her. The whole idea of this like old money lived in chai blonde is for it to look expensive and like it just grew out of your head. So we don't want to create anything too mechanical. So I'm just going to do a soft baby light right behind her hairline. Give it just a soft tease. And I'm going to paint this off scalp. So I'm not going to bring this all the way to her scalp. We'll give just that little swipe, a little feather up, and I am gonna go just a little bit lower on this back section where it's just a tiny bit darker. She's very bright here, so I don't need to drag that down at all. And I'm gonna do one more of the exact same thing, and that is all I'm going to be doing on her hairline. We're not looking for the most extreme brightness possible. I want to keep this very, very soft. So again, just a little baby light weave, leaving a lot of natural. Soft tease, and we'll keep that off scalp. And then after this foil, we'll be jumping back into our same pattern from the back. So pushing all my little baby hairs out of the way. Giving that a swipe up towards the root. Soft feather, where I see a little bit of more depth in the back. And now I'm going to join and connect to what's happening down here. So I've got my low lights and my little baby highlight. So I'm going to continue on that same diagonal back. Going under the surface and slicing and weaving at the exact same time. So weave underneath, slice on top. And because this is going to be the first low light that sits right behind her face frame, I don't necessarily want this one to go all the way down to her ends. I want to give this a soft feather, so all of that brightness kind of has this natural tip out feel. So again, I'll place my low light right in the middle, right at that line of demarcation, feather up into the natural, and then I'll just feather down slightly at a slight angle so it goes a little bit lower towards the back, and that will create that really beautiful depth but still have brightness at the bottom. And my next low light in this section will be pulled all the way through to the end. So we'll do our last diagonal back in this section. Painting my low light right at that line of demarcation, feathering up into the natural. And this one I will pull all the way through. I just wanted to keep that a little extra bright right around her face. As we know, when blondes are adding depth, they are excited about adding depth, but they are also scared and nervous. So if you keep around their face close to home, it will make every blonde more comfortable. And honestly, it gives it that really beautiful gradient balayage effect to have that little bit of brightness around the face, a little bit of that tip out, and then all of that depth living behind it. So I'm gonna repeat the exact same thing on the other side and we'll be back for the top. So she is a predominant like off middle part. So what I like to do when I highlight for either middle or off middle, I like to kind of look at where on my hairline is going to be the strongest starting point, where I can get the most clear cut straight line. So we've got our diagonal back here and our diagonal back here. I feel like based off of the strength of her hairline, I can get a better, cleaner diagonal back here first. Then I'll come back and do this side. And again, we're not looking to create the like sharpest highlight in the world. So I am taking a pretty like wide section back. I wanna make sure that when I weave, I'm leaving a lot of dropout along her hairline so this stays soft. So I'm gonna go in and just do that soft little baby light, just like I did on her hairline here. So when her hair is pulled back, all of this hair will lay over the top, creating a natural softness and a natural shadow. I'll give that just like the softest little baby tease, just for a tiny bit of diffusion. Just scooping out my depth. I'm just gonna go right into her line of demarcation. I'm not going all the way to the scalp. This is gonna be slightly off scalp. And then I'll feather down right behind that super bright, where this had a little bit more depth to it, because I do at the end of the day want this to be an even, consistent lift. Laying our foil directly on top so we don't create crease marks, especially on this face frame. We'll take our second diagonal back. And my second diagonal back, I'll turn her so you can see where this parting is. I'm going all the way from, look down for me. From her center part, I've barely moved back, but I'm taking a wide diagonal back this way. That is going to create a stronger pop in her face frame through the interior. So when she curls her hair, this will pop open. So I'll take my little baby light weave all the way to the back of that section. The softest, softest tease. Again, just feathering up. She's very bright through here, so I'm gonna kick that out of the way and drag that down. Place this right on top, and then I'm gonna do the exact same thing on this side, and then we'll change our pattern for our lowlights on top. So before I jump into this top section and change pattern, I do want to do a quick connector. So right across here where I took my two diagonal backs, I'm taking a straight parting across here, and I'm just going to do a little baby weave through this, just to give a tiny bit of connection. Same thing, I'm gonna give that soft tease. Placing my foil in and remembering that I am not painting all the way to scalp. I am painting just slightly off so we can keep this soft and dimensional. giving that a soft feather, dragging down through some of the darker pieces. I am gonna go back in and just kind of touch that just a tiny bit more. And I'm gonna keep this laying down here, so she's gonna take a quick nap while we finish the top. So now moving into the top section, I'm gonna work off of her center part to make sure that we stay perfectly aligned. So I'm gonna get her parting where it naturally falls, which is kind of that off center. And work on each side using my wider foils. So now through this top section, when I sectioned out for the top, I went all the way, all along her parietal, back below her drop crown. So the reason I went below her crown is to make sure that with this section, wherever her like growth pattern is, all of this falls all the way over and is perfectly connected. So we're gonna take our diagonal back, straight across, and we're just gonna alternate highlights and lowlights to the part line, ending with our low light. So we may only do like 3 foils in this entire top section. So this is going to be a low light, this is going to be a highlight, and this will be a low light. Very soft, very seamless, very easy. This is all about, everything I do is about how fast can we get things done behind the chair, because time is money and we don't have time to be doing 10-hour placements. We need to get these things done fast. So using wide, big foils really allows you to work in really large surface areas and paint really consistent partings. If you were doing this in 2 separate foils, you could forget how low you painted each one. So I'm gonna go just below the surface and I'm doing our sliced weave. And I'm taking a big, wide foil, placing that under. And then what this allows me to do, take my low light, right at that line of demarcation, painting up into the natural. And then I have full control over how I paint my angle. So I can go very steep, all in the same foil. So I'm covering a very large surface area all at one time. So I'm almost all the way to the end here, and I'm way up here in the front. So giving that very, very, very steep angle, all in the same foil. So continuing to work my way up the head. This will be a little baby light, just to give a little shimmer of brightness through the top to kind of connect to all the little shimmers of brightness that we've added throughout. Because again, I don't want her to feel like she's so dark. I want this to feel really well balanced. So itty bitty little baby light, soft tease, taking my wide foil. And again, I'm connecting all the way from my front foils all the way to the crown in the back. Feathering this down slightly in the back where it's just like that touch darker, staying away from these super bright pieces in the front. Laying that right on top. And then right on this part line, we're gonna do the same under the surface, weaved slice, right at the line of demarcation, feathering up into the natural. And again, continuing with that steep angle. And that's it for this side. We're just gonna do the exact same thing on the other side, and we'll check back in after we get her rinsed. So we just got back from the shampoo bowl and got her all detangled and brushed out. I used our Porosity Equalizing spray. This is a huge game changer pre-toning. It's lightweight, it's conditioning, it has aloe in it, so it's great for the hair, but it won't close the cuticle. And it also balances the porosity, making it easier to get a beautiful, even tone. What I wanted to show off when I turn her head to the side is exactly what we talked about in our placement. We talked about having the front be a little bit brighter leaving that really gorgeous tip out here so you can see that brightness here where we just feathered down that front low light. And then we have all of our depth backing up right behind it, which is gonna push that brightness forward, making it appear even brighter. The beautiful thing about her natural level is we really don't need to do a root shadow today, but what I'm going to do is create kind of a mid-tone on her using our rapid toners. So I'm going in and I'm using our Gold Violet Rapid Toner, equal parts to clear. I'm gonna be applying that through her like root and mids area first, letting that process for just a few minutes and then pulling all the way through. Remember, our rapid toners are up to 5 minutes, so 5 minutes is gonna give you maximum pigment. I have sheared it out equal parts with clear, so it gives me just a little more wiggle room to play with this root melt kind of mid-tone situation without having to worry about like, I need to get this on and get this off fast. It kind of just gives me a little bit of a security blanket. So all I'm going to do, there's no technique here at all. This is truly just, I want to get this on through this mid shaft area. And I'm going to be leaving her face frame out for a while. So I'm just kind of working in sections. I'll take a slight diagonal back here to leave that face frame out and alone. And then all I'm going to do is work through this section, just getting this on and saturated. Again, no technique, no precision. This isn't like I'm doing a level 6 root shadow on a bright blonde. I'm just getting this Gold Violet Rapid Toner on to create a mid-tone. I'm also taking some lighter subsections because again, I'm not trying to blend anything. There is no need for blend here because our Gold Violet Rapid Toner doesn't have a designated level. I'm not worried about a level depositing too dark in a specific area. I'm just trying to create this really gorgeous mid-tone that's gonna act as like a soft transition shadow without it being a full-fledged root shadow. Her natural color is so light and pretty that I don't really want to change that. So like I said, no real technique here. I'm also kind of dragging it a little bit further down, especially towards the back. Isolating out my face frame here on this side. And I'm just gonna continue to do the same thing on this side, getting all of my root and mid area saturated. I'm literally just gonna let this sit for 2 or 3 minutes just to kind of watch it. And then we'll pull it all the way through for just honestly like 2 minutes, just to give it a kiss of that gold violet tone. It's already a really beautiful tone. I just wanna give it that like kind of that old money, kind of that cool beige vibe. So again, saturating way further down in the back to create a little bit of that natural teardrop. I always have my clients look down when I'm painting in the Nape because it gives me a little bit more room to paint on. Versus if their head is up, it's hard to sometimes paint way down their neck. So this gives me a little bit more surface area to paint on to kind of drag that down. And like I said, here in the back, I'm dragging this a lot further down. And honestly, by the time I finish applying this in the back, I'm probably gonna start pulling it through the ends. And I'm just giving this a good brush just to make sure that the product is evenly saturated, blended all the way through. Again, because this is just tonality, I'm not worried about my brush grabbing the color and dragging it too far, doing anything silly. This is just really easy. So it doesn't have to be too hard, it doesn't have to be too overthought, especially because this is truly just a pigment. We'll let this sit for just a couple minutes and then we'll pull it through. All right, so we let this process. This has been about 3 minutes. And now I'm just going to pull this through the ends. And even though I have my clear, I do want to work this fast because again, I love the tone of where it was at. I just wanted to refine it slightly, giving it that like, kind of like cool beige, but still with like a touch of warmth kind of vibe. I do want to note that I have kept it completely off my face frame this entire time. So once I get these back sections applied, I will be adding it to my face frame. I wanted my face frame to have just like a little bit of a brighter pop to it. So again, it has that really beautiful kind of balayage accented brightness around the face. So as you can see here, it's been completely off my face frame. So I'm gonna apply on my ends here first. And now I will apply to this very front. And what's nice, because it's the exact same formula, I can just drag this back, lay it over, and I don't have to worry about a dark formula getting on my ends. So I'm just gonna apply to the other side and we'll check back in for the end result. And here is our finished result, the most gorgeous chai old money blonde you have ever seen. And it was so fast, easy to do, and this will save you so much time behind the chair. The biggest thing that I wanted to remind you guys was about that weave that we did, that sliced weave that we did. It created just soft dimensional results while getting maximum impact. You can see all of that depth through her ends. So really make sure you don't break the surface above. You're slicing under the surface, but you're weaving below. It creates the most beautiful, high impact yet soft finished result. So I hope you guys love this formulation. Try this out. Make sure you tag us and leave us a comment below for what you would like to see next.